If you're a videographer, photographer, or creative entrepreneur looking to get your time back and scale your revenue, this is the podcast for you. And we have the talented Bo Cunningham in the house with Arkansas Rim. Bo, you are a real estate, you do content creation for real estate, video, photo. Walk us through, just give us your background.
Yeah. So, as you said, I'm the owner of Arkansas Rim. We're based in Central Arkansas. So Conway, Little Rock, those are our two primary cities. And we serve just real estate professionals. So real estate agents, builders, developers, managers, what have you. And going back to where I started doing photography when I was 14. I remember my parents had a Canon T6, the old Rebel T6, and I remember looking at it, and I had seen these pictures on social media and yearbook ads with that blurry background, that nice blurry background that we all know and love. And I told myself at 14 that I wanted to figure out how to do those pictures, how to make those pictures. And so I did research. I'm a graduate from YouTube University, learned everything off of YouTube. Eventually got a Sony mirrorless camera, an A6000, and a good 50 millimeter 1.8. And I remember one pivotal moment in my early career. I was 16 years old, or maybe 15, and there was a magazine article about a cookie exchange at a neighborhood in Conway, and their photographer got sick, and so they needed someone to quickly fill in the spot. And I remember I had some sort of connection ask me, hey, would you be willing to photograph this? It's an hour long. We just need pictures of what's going on. I was like, absolutely, I'd love to. And they were like, well, how much do you charge? I said, $20. And I thought I was on top of the world because at age 15, I got paid to do photography. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And in summer of 2020, right whenever COVID hit, we got approached by an insurance agent in Conway. And he was like, well, hey, we know you got free time. How would you feel about doing some videos for our insurance agency? And prior to that, I had done some promotional videos. I went to a small school in Conway. I graduated with like 27 other people. And I just loved yearbook staff. I loved making videos for the school. And we had a project that was like, you spend 20% of the time in this class doing a creative project. And I made a promo video for the school. It got shared around. So next thing you know, I was the video guy at my school. And so this summer of 2020, we got approached by this insurance agent, and we started doing ads for him, and we fell in love with commercial videography. And graduated high school in 2021. And from there, me and my brother Marshall, we had a business called Cunningham Creatives. I still love the name. So
yeah, I was going to say, I do like that name. Yeah.
And from there, we started working with a couple of different small businesses. And eventually, me and my brother, we just started love him to death, but we had some creative differences. And it was a constant battle of who's doing what. And then we had clients that weren't happy. And I just deep down didn't feel like we were providing enough value. And around that time, we had a big contract with this one company that had a couple of different companies under it. And so we had that. And then I also had this other job where I would go to a sheep farm every day and I would shovel manure every day. And it didn't matter if it was a weekend, holiday, I'd go there. And I made $50 a day.
Yeah.
And well, next thing you know, we pretty much only had one contract with Cunningham Creatives. We would do a couple of side projects. And I was doing the sheep thing on the side. And around that time, I was like, well, hey, everyone's telling me to go buy a house. I was like, I'll go buy a house.
Yeah.
I love real estate. I love the real estate world. And I ended up finding a pretty good house online, and I decided to just go look at it, run of the mill, just go look at it, see if I like it. But the pictures online were so bad, I almost didn't even go look at it.
Wow.
And I walk in those doors, and I'm like, is this the same house I looked at online? And it was, and I almost was like, I don't like this, but I noticed a fourth bedroom, and I was like, well, I didn't even know based off the pictures it was a 4-bedroom house. So anyways, I had my brother decide to rent from me. I had a good friend rent from me, and I was like, okay, I can make this work, and I'm not going to have to spend money on rent. So I decided to put in an offer, and I got a really good deal on this house, partially because it had been sitting on the market for so long. because nobody wanted to look at it, because what's the first impression?
Yep.
It used to be newspaper articles in the classified ads
Yeah.
section, but now 97% of home searches begin online.
It's really interesting how marketing has changed just in general. Like
Yes.
with the housing industry, I had a older agent that kind of told me like in the past it was almost like a car dealership. It was like they would have their office, and on the outside they'd have these pictures like shown up front, like on the office.
Yeah.
And it's just like so funny, like how, now, you can just go on your phone, you
Right.
can look at the photos and stuff. But you're right. Like the photo is like the first impression they're going to get. Like
sure
if you have bad photos for your listing, like they're probably less motivated to buy your house or
100%.
even to go see it and stuff.
100%.
Do you have like a unique story on like how your photos or video impacted your client?
Yeah, so there's been a couple times. It's hard to think of just one.
Yeah.
But a house has been sitting on the market for a while. Sometimes the seller will just tell the agent, hey, you need to get pictures done or I'm terminating the listing.
Yeah.
And so I'll come in, put my heart and soul. I put my heart and soul into every listing I shoot. I always tell people I shoot every listing like it's my own. And a lot of times they'll start moving. Like I had one, I think it was in Benton, that had been sitting for a while, and it was a contingent situation. It was getting near the end of that time period, and I went and shot it, and then over the weekend it went under contract. And to see my work help these agents help their clients is everything to me. It just motivates me, fires me up. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. And Bo, how old are you?
I'm 22.
So you're 22 and you've been kind of doing it at a younger age. It's almost like you started somewhere, like you got your foot planted somewhere. So for all the people listening in that are younger, what would you tell somebody who thinks I've got time? I don't have to do this now. I've got time. I can wait till I'm 30, 40, whatever. What would you tell that person?
Yeah, okay. That's a great question. And I would ask these questions a lot to myself. Whenever I got started, I was thinking, is it worth it? What if it all fails? What if it goes nowhere? So I went to college. I went to UCA, and I ended up graduating. And throughout that time, I put aside the college experience, the college lifestyle, and I took a huge risk. I was like, look, I'm going to try to build something. And one realization I had was if it all fails, I've got all the experience that led to that failure. And I feel like one thing that I've learned through my time in business, failure is nothing but opportunity disguised. And if you can fail more than someone, you will eventually be ahead of them. And
I like there's a quote that somebody said where it's like, if you knew that you were only 19 failures away from success, how quickly would you fail?
Exactly.
And I love that.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan, and Dave Ramsey
I am
says,
too. Yeah. Yeah. Dave Ramsey's great.
I love him, and he always says, success. So as a definition, success is when you're standing on top of your failures instead of falling beneath them, and that's just. I don't know. That's always motivating.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And, all of us, we're all figuring it out, you're going to fail. It's going to happen.
100%.
And, like you said, it's just important that you learn from it, for me, like, for instance, if I were to shoot a project, the client might actually like it, but I look at it and I'm like, man, I feel like I failed them. Like, I feel like I could have done better. Well, think of it as when you go to the next shoot, what is one more thing you can do that can make the video better? Each time, I don't even care where you're at in your career. I don't care if you're like, top of your game. Like, what is one thing you learned from the next project to the next project that's going to get you better? Like, it's just so crucial. There's always something to learn. Like, always. Yeah.
And one thing is that it's just compliance is a science. Over time, you will learn to navigate different business deals or different scenarios in the right way. And, a lot of people look at me, think, oh, I'm 22, overnight success in the real estate world. Yep. I'm almost 3 years in exclusively shooting real estate. And before that, I started doing commercial videography when I was 16. So I'm a good ways in my career. Like, I'm 6 years in, right? And a lot of people just say, oh, he's 22. That means he just started, whatever. But I've got a lot of failures behind me and a lot of things to learn from. And it really is just an everyday decision of, are you going to let your failures crumple you, or are you going to stand on top of them, learn from them, and keep
And I
moving
think it's
forward?
really important as creative business owners because comparison's a huge thing.
Yes.
Like all of us have been guilty of it at one point.
Yep.
It's important not to play victim mentality.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
oh, well, if I had the nicest camera, I could, be like them. Don't shift like that. Shift that, create that mind shift like, just like I'm really happy for their success and one day I'll be where they're at.
Yes.
Like you got to believe it.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
I've kind of talked about it a couple of times on this podcast, but basically just I worked in the corporate world, and you said you were shoveling
Sheep manure.
sheep manure.
Every day, yep.
And I guarantee most people listening in have not done that.
Yeah.
A lot of us come from humble beginnings.
Yes.
I used to be a delivery driver. I was a window cleaner. I was all those things. And one thing that I'd motivate to people is for you, right? I know you were, doing that, but there was probably something from that job that helped you to almost apply to your business.
100%.
So when I was a delivery driver, it was time management. It was dealing with pressure because I had to like deliver a certain amount of packages in a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
and then I had to go pick it up in a certain amount of time, pickups and stuff. And, I just feel like if you're somebody who's discouraged that you're not where you're at right now, use it as fuel. Like right now, be really good what you're doing right now, because I guarantee you there is a certain skill set in that will benefit you greatly as a creative business owner.
Yeah.
And it's not all about the creative side either. Like the whole point too of this podcast is like there's a business element to it. I know it's not fun for us to mention that, but because I think a lot of us, we had the creativeness. It's just the business side is like, oh, like I got to do bookkeeping. Marketing's fun, but at the same time, it's still another thing you got to do and stuff. But what are some of the biggest challenges at your age? What have been like the bigger challenges for you?
Yeah, I would just say, so when I first started Arkansas Rim, I had no connections in the real estate world. Absolutely none. I had the realtor I worked with, and that was pretty much it. So at 19 years old, I realized I've got a dream and I've got a phone. And I did the one thing I feel like creatives struggle with the most is cold calling. You got to learn to love it. I remember whenever I first started doing this, I wasn't even good yet. Like I was not good at all for a long time, but I had a spark, right? Because right after I actually bought my house, the sheep farm, they called me and they were like, "Hey, we don't need you anymore." And then right after that, the contract we had with Cunningham Creatives, the company decided to go a different direction. So I've got a house and no income, pretty much, besides side projects. So I had to make something work. It wasn't out of choice. It was kind of out of desperation, which a lot of people don't know. And so that was hard at a young age, right? But guess what? I had more energy than I knew I would ever have. And I had more willpower than I knew I would ever have. And so with my first business, you're going to have different businesses, right? You're going to have different previous jobs. Like we were talking about earlier. It's what you do after that is what matters and what you learn from it. And I remember what I'd learned from my previous business, Cunningham Creatives, is, okay, the value wasn't right. So instead of thinking, well, how can I rely on just my ideas and my personal ideas, I kind of realized my personal ideas sucked. I had no idea what I was doing. But there were other people in Texas and on the coast that knew exactly how to do it and how to build a business. So this time around, I decided to focus on what they were doing, right? And that kind of alleviates a lot of the pressure as someone who's young. Because if you're someone who's young and you listen to people who are where you want to be, you're gonna be just fine. And what did I see they were doing? They were picking up the phones, calling, doing the most uncomfortable thing for a Gen Z 19-year-old to do, pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I know you've already got someone who's doing what I do, but I'll do this for free because I think we could work well together, and you're taking on all the risk, and it's hard to create a compelling offer, right?" So I gave away a lot of free work, right? Because you got to, you got to build confidence, and confidence is based on evidence. And so I had to build evidence, right? So free shoot, free shoot, free shoot. But the hardest part was getting agents to actually listen to me, because I'm a 19-year-old kid with no connections in the business.
Yeah.
So
That's a good
but
point.
You just got to overcome it. It's just repetition.
Yeah.
And you want to be consistently good instead of occasionally great.
Yeah. How, another thing I think we struggle with too, you get a project done, you send it off, and you've got that almost like, not dread, but like you're like, are they going to like it? Are they going to like the video? Like you're so nervous. How do you deal with, your niche is, real estate, so it's with agents.
Yeah.
How do you deal with negative feedback?
Yeah. So I remember before I even got into the business, I bought a tripod from someone, $15 tripod taped up, but it was a pretty good tripod. And I bought it from a wedding photographer or wedding videographer. And he invited me actually to go get coffee with him. And I remember he was like, he had thought about doing real estate, but decided to stick with weddings and commercial just because real estate agents, believe it or not. He's like, I don't want to deal with real estate agents. It's too low ticket. And I was like, and it almost discouraged me from even doing it. But what I've learned is realtors are some of the most hardworking people I've ever met, and I relate to them. And
if you think about it, they're almost like us.
Exactly,
like
they're commission based.
Yeah, I mean, they're like they're a business owner. Yes. I mean, if you really think about it, like you've got the brokerage and stuff, but like they literally have to work hard. Exactly. I mean, like if you think owning a creative business is hard, imagine being a realtor. Like the thought of, if I don't sell this house, I don't have revenue.
Exactly.
Like that's a scary thing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to, when we're dealing with our clients, like don't think of like, come down to their level, understand like what they're going through. If you're doing corporate work, they hired you because they're trying to get more revenue from what you can produce. Like they're value. Yeah. And I mean, with the realtor, they're hiring you because they want the house to sell, and
people will buy something if the expected value is equal to greater than what they're paying for it, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I learned from my first business that didn't go anywhere, is I was not providing that value. And with negative feedback, I feel like you said, going to their level, seeing things from their perspective, putting yourself in their shoes is everything. Because as soon as you realize, oh, they didn't like this because this is detracting from the value that I can provide, then those grievances, the whatever, they're just trying to serve their clients well. And if I can serve my clients the same way they're serving their clients, we're in good shape.
Yeah. Yeah. And then kind of to add on more to that, like you were kind of mentioning like you're from the Central Arkansas area. Right. Yeah. One thing I kind of want to add on to that, what I think is really unique about you, don't you have like, you're in Central Arkansas, but are you almost like getting into Northwest Arkansas? Yeah. So you got like a team, sort of? Yeah.
So one of the most fun parts of owning a business is growing a team, right? Buying back your time and scaling. I tend to love the business side more than the creative side, which is crazy for a lot of creatives to hear.
Yeah.
But how it actually started out in Northwest Arkansas is 2 weeks after I graduated high school, my parents moved up here to Pea Ridge.
Okay, I actually lived in Pea Ridge at one point, so I know it very well. Yeah,
so they decided to move up, and that kind of left me and Marshall, me and my brother Marshall, who I'm in the business with, just kind of on our own, right? And so I eventually, once I started Arkansas Rim, my dad was recently retired, right? He retired at the end of 2023, and that was when I really felt like I had a good footing. I started the business in April of 23. By December, I had around 35 clients or so. And I was like, well, my dad was weighing options about like working at Home Depot. And I was like, hey, I could do you one better. I could teach you the ropes.
Yeah.
So I actually just taught them how to do it. And they crushed it.
I'd love to get your thoughts on this, because I deal with this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it gets me emotional, but it's like, it's serious to me. You look at your parents, your grandparents, and it's like, and I don't know, I don't know how it looks like for your family, but you look at your family. They're not necessarily in a corporate space, but they're working for people. What do you like? How different? Like, how unique is it? Like, you're owning a business and then they're working for people. At least I mean, I'm sure they have in the
Yeah.
past and stuff. Like, how do you like, because you've reaped the benefits of like owning a business. How do you feel like, you want your parents to have that?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
How do you like, have you talked to your parents about that?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
about like, I'd love to see you like own your own thing,
Yep. It was-
get out of corporate.
Yes, it was awesome because my dad worked for the government. My mom was a teacher, right? Both, wonderful jobs. They were great at what
Yeah,
they did, but
yeah.
they never owned a business, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've owned a business since I was 16, and I've seen the freedom, the flexibility that comes with that, and how much of a blessing it truly is. And to see them start from scratch just like I did, and they grew it substantial.
Yeah.
And then I got married in August to my beautiful wife, Allie. Shout out, Allie. And and my brother, he's big into Christian publishing. He's a writer.
Okay.
And so he actually
Yeah.
owns a bookstore in Conway. And I think my
I've
parents.
seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And my parents saw that and they're like, they're not moving up to Northwest Arkansas. They're staying
Yeah,
down in
yeah,
Central Arkansas.
yeah.
And so they decided to move back. And so I ended up having my parents work directly with me. They still do.
Yeah.
And and I sent one of my best friends, whose wife is from Springdale, and trained him up for 3 weeks and sent him up here. So still kind of got a presence up here, and my friend Jaren's just doing wonderful things up here in the real estate.
My dad growing up, I remember as a little kid, he had his own like cabinet shop business.
Okay,
So he's
very cool.
creative like in a different way.
Yes.
Like, hands-on,
I love it.
He does incredible work. And, growing up, I don't know like all the details and stuff, but he sort of had like a bad experience because he had like a business partner that was like hard, just one of those things. And, he's, still had a passion for that. And I think he kind of switched from like, he still had that, but it was more like he wanted to be like a teacher and teach people.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's been like a great outlet for him. So he's a teacher up in Springfield at a high school
very
for
cool.
woodworking and stuff. And, I've had talks with him, because I love my dad so much. And it's like, I would love to see you like get back into it.
Yes.
I know it's a lot of work because, you have to wear a lot of hats and you don't know if you're going to get income coming in or whatever. But I just kind of wanted to bring that up because like now that this is almost like the reason I made this like the purpose behind the podcast. I was talking to a good friend of mine who's a local creative around Joplin, and he was just telling me the other day he used to have a business partner and they quit. His business partner quit because he's gonna go do a full-time job somewhere. And I'm like, that's the whole point of this podcast. Like, don't go like do what you're actually passionate about.
Yes.
Like, don't like give up your dream
Yes.
for money.
Yep.
Essentially,
Right.
because I'll tell you right now, like you're gonna be miserable the rest of your
right.
life,
That's right.
like
It's a
absolutely
choice.
miserable.
It's a choice.
I will tell you right now, when I literally quit my job,
Yeah.
I had a baby on the way.
Oh.
Like it was like, oh my gosh, I just
about
quit
pressure,
my job.
yeah.
Yeah. And I decided to leave corporate because I wouldn't blindly just tell people quit your job.
Yes.
Because I don't know your situation or anything like that. My situation was I had kind of built my business up for 4 years. I got a lot of good experience with the companies I work for, and it was like work environment. I was just like trampled on. It was a really bad work environment.
That sucks.
And I was just like, you know what? I had a lot of people tell me, Tristan, like you can do this. Like you can work for yourself and you're going to do far better than working for somebody else. And I always like heard that, but just like I had a lot of voices in my head. Like it's just like, can you provide for your family? Can you get leads in? Will you actually get bookings and like all these things? And when I quit, I had about 2 months worth of work. So I had a cushion.
Yeah.
But, it was like do or die. I felt like I almost had to like prove myself in 2 months.
Yeah.
I have 2 months to like work as hard as I possibly can and see if it's worth it. And I remember, I actually kind of forget about this sometimes, but I remember when I had quit, I was still applying to jobs because I didn't know, like I knew I was going to work for myself eventually, but in that moment I didn't know.
Yep.
And I had applied to a couple of jobs and, I felt like I was pretty qualified for them because I've been doing it for a while and stuff, but door kept closing. There was one application that was going pretty well, an interview. And I remember I was going to get paid a certain salary for the year. and I went to my books and I already had that much for the year. And I'm like, why?
That's the
I,
moment you know that you can
like,
switch, if you ask
exactly.
me.
Yeah. It's like you don't have somebody over you telling you're worth this much. Because, you know, I have a lot of respect for a lot of businesses and things like that, but it's just like when you're in marketing specifically, I'm not saying other fields, but marketing, like there's only like a certain like level you can get to money wise.
Yep.
And then like you literally don't grow after that.
That's right.
And I think in certain work environments, they want you to think that like you can't do it on your own
Yeah.
because they do know how valuable you are. Like that's, because if you really think about it, if you can hire a full-time social media videographer, whatever, at $50,000 a year, if you really think about that, they are saving so much money, a drastic amount of money. I can't do the math in my head off the top of my head, but like, for one corporate project from us, right? Like if we were doing like a corporate thing, like, like a brand video
Yeah.
or something like that, we would literally charge more than what somebody's making salary. So they're saving money because you're afraid to take that step
Right.
if you think about it. And so
they're hoping you never make that step.
exactly, they want you to stay where you're at because if you don't, they have to outsource it to somebody like us and pay more.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're trying to charge people a lot, but we're charging people like what it costs to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, we have all this gear, like it's not cheap. But you work at it. Like, for me doing all these gigs growing up, I would take a certain percentage of what I made and like put it towards gear and stuff. It's not like it was just, for all of us out there that are photographers, videographers, content creators, whatever, it's not like it was all handed to us. It's not. And I think another thing too, people assume it's easy to do. Even if you have all the gear, if you don't know settings and stuff, like it's not going to look good.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I mean, knowing cameras is a battle.
It's crazy.
Knowing ISO,
it's
aperture,
so
shutter
crazy.
speed,
Because
and
like for me, I'm a Sony user. You're a Sony
I
user.
am, sure am. Yep.
And really, there's all these different cameras out there, but for me, I went for more like the low light because weddings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Low light and then the autofocus and all these things. But I feel like almost like you better dedicate yourself to whatever camera brand you want because you're going to learn all this. And then, if you're wanting to switch, that's scary because you already learned one camera system.
And all the lenses.
Like, if you want to like go from like Sony to Canon or vice versa, like it's different.
Yep.
Like menus are
It is.
different and like
Everything's
all
different.
that and stuff. And so, but when you were starting your business and stuff, like you were kind of saying you like had a phone and like all that, like where was your gear arsenal at the beginning and like how have you gotten to build it up?
That's a great question. And I feel like a lot of people in the industry don't talk about like, hey, gear costs a lot of money and we know it's not getting any cheaper. So whenever I first started, the good thing is with Cunningham Creatives, we had a Sony A7S III.
Okay. Yeah. Which is incredible.
Yeah. We we budgeted for that and we got it. And I still use that camera to this day. And that was over 3 years ago.
That camera has held up so well.
Yes,
I mean, actually for this video podcast, we're recording on one.
Right there,
so yeah.
It's a wonderful camera. And so I had that and I had like $400 saved up from the sheep gig. So I went and bought me a 11 millimeter 1.8 lens and I was like, I can shoot real estate now.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And the $15 tripod I got off of Facebook.
Yeah.
You don't need to start.
No.
And the worst decision, it's good to have some pressure, but I feel like a lot of business owners in the creative industry fail is they think the gear will get them clients.
Yeah, and that's not true.
The clients should pay for your gear because you're so good with what you have already.
Yeah.
You can learn everything you need to on YouTube. I think of I had a Sony A6000, I had an A7S III, but knowing how to use them, it's a lot of work. And a big mistake a lot of people fall into is they'll go get an SBA loan for a media production.
That's a really
they'll
good.
They'll go to a credit union, and they'll get a loan, and then guess what? They've got all this gear, they don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
and the banks are going to be wanting their money here
Yeah.
soon. And so,
And you're not getting, and that's almost like, it's almost like it's a joke in our circle,
Yeah.
like in the creative space that we all joke about. It's like, oh, I just bought my $3,000 camera and now I don't have leads. Like that's been a joke, but like that's something not to joke
reality.
about.
Yes.
Like, do not like, my thing would be, it's total like go buy a $5,000 camera, but only if like you're making it, like you're getting the leads.
The
and
test
stuff.
is, hey,
Almost think of it like a reward.
exactly.
Like, you want that camera. Well, the more leads you get, then you can get one.
As creatives, we love gear.
Yeah,
I love lenses.
Yeah.
I've got I don't have as many lenses as I want, but they're like 2,000, 3,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But seriously, make it, gamify it. Make
Yeah.
it a reward where,
Yeah.
hey, if I've got 10 clients, then I can go get me that 70 to 200, 2.8.
I do think with my business anyway, I've always been, because you had just mentioned Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
I hate debt.
Me too.
I absolutely
I am 100%
hate it.
with you.
And like for me, and I hate credit cards.
Me too.
But I did give in to one credit card.
Yeah.
And for the people listening in, you all have probably bought through B&H and stuff.
Yep.
So I do have a B&H credit card. I think it's good to figure out like what credit cards can work for your business, because a big thing for me is it's like if I use the credit card, like let's just say I have $1,000.
Yep.
I actually have that. Yeah. And there's a lens that costs that much, which that's cheap for a lens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. If you get the B&H credit card, you don't pay sales tax.
Oh, I didn't know.
So yeah, I've been using that. So like,
that's big money when you're up in the thousands.
Yeah. you could be paying hundreds for sales tax.
That's like a 10% savings in a lot of places.
And so if you use the credit card and then just pay the 1,000 that you owe.
Yeah.
And you just saved hundreds because you didn't pay sales tax. I think it's good to like utilize certain things like that, but don't ever like.
But the thing is, the reason why they can offer that is because all these creatives out there are not paying it back.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
So be very careful.
Yeah.
50% of credit card, you just carry a balance. I'm just speaking Dave Ramsey right here.
Well, we want to thank you for traveling up from Central Arkansas today. I know it's a bit of a drive.
I love Northwest Arkansas.
Just to kind of close this out, what would you tell somebody who right now is working, like they are creative, they're working in the corporate space, and they are debating, like they just don't know what they should do? What is one piece of advice you'd give to them?
Okay, I'm gonna break this down to a couple pieces. One, I would say you got to develop a love for people. If you get into business, everything you do is dealing with people, and at the end of the day, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So, okay, once you got that out the way, two, I wouldn't borrow any money to start a business. Don't think that that's the silver bullet, right? The silver bullet's going to be hard work, time, learning, and experience, and that'll build confidence. Three, I would say every day that you're not attacking your dreams, right? Every day you're not taking steps towards it, you're going to be more and more complacent. And eventually that complacency grows to where it overshadows the want for change, right? So I would tell them that, make a change soon, but also don't make it stupidly.
Yeah.
I've heard this analogy before where you want your step into entrepreneurship to be a step. You don't want it to be a leap, right? People leap, they fall, right? And if you fall right off the bat before you really even have a chance to make it, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So I would say that, and fall in love with business. I love business. I my degree's in entrepreneurship. I love small business. I love working with real estate agents because they're small business people. Empathize with your customer, understand their struggles, and understand the problem first, and then focus on the solution.
And the thing I'll kind of close on that point is you're 21, right?
22.
22. I'm 26.
Yeah.
People would classify us, I guess, younger.
Yep.
Just know, like, it's going to go like that.
It will.
Like, we're going to be 50, 60, 70. Like, don't waste a single moment. Like, don't get lazy.
Yep.
Don't think that, like, oh, I'll wait till tomorrow.
Yep.
Like, oh, I'll wait till tomorrow. That becomes years and it racks up. and you've wasted so much time. If you start, it's so valuable. If you start young, you can reap the benefits early. You know, there's so many entrepreneurs now that are younger and they're very wealthy, but you know, they started in their teens, you know? And so, you know, everybody listening in, like, don't waste time, like, because time is like, honestly, time is the most valuable thing.
100%. Yeah.
Like, I mean, even in business, like for us, you know, I know for me, I want to get out of editing because I'm so glued to it and it takes me away from my family. So if I'm filming and don't have to edit, like, but that's a time thing. You know, you value that.
It's an exchange. Yep.
Yeah.
Everything's time based. And another thing, I feel like it's never been easier to start. Get you a used A6000 on eBay for $400. You're set. That's all you got to do.
Yep.
And you could save up $400. And another thing, just kind of tying this all together, is I feel like I get reminded of this quote. I think it's from James Clear in Atomic Habits, but every decision you make today is casting a vote for the person you want to be. If you can start that young, imagine the person you could be whenever you're older.
We'll leave it on that.
Yeah,
that's a really good one. Yeah, that's awesome.
Good. And I just want to shout out you. I mean, bringing all these creatives together. You know, for me, I love Arkansas. I love the natural state. Just seeing what you've been able to do here. Man.
Well, you too, man. Like, you're killing it in Central. Yeah. Well, thank you, Bo. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're just so thankful we could have Bo on and just give his insight and everything. And we will see you all in the next one.